Let's look at the next example. I'm going to create a new function by adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. The functions that I'm going to create the new function out of are 4x to the 1/3 and x to the 1/2. So I want to start off by thinking about what my domain would look like. And this is an x to the 1/3 power. I'm going to write it over here. And that's the same thing as 4 cube roots of x. So that graph kind of looks like this. The other one is a square root graph. It's the square root of x, so it looks like this. Remember that we can only add, subtract, multiply, and divide on the places where the domain exists for both. So the domain starts here and goes to here on both graphs. So I know that the domain where they intersect, I can't add where they don't both exist. So I know that the domain is always going to start from 0 to infinity on all of these. In fact, it's going to be 0 to infinity on adding, subtracting, and multiplying. It's going to start as 0 to infinity on division, but we may have to tweak it whenever we start working with the problem. All right, let's look at the first one. This new function is going to be created by adding the first function plus the second function. And this one's kind of easy because there's nothing else you can do on this one because these aren't like terms, you can't add them. And here's the domain. Okay, let's talk about subtracting. The new function is created by taking the first function and subtracting the second function. And again, these are not like terms, so we can't do anything else with it. Let's look at the next one. This one is multiply. So the new function is created by multiplying 4x to the 1/3 times x to the 1/2. And you can multiply this time because they don't have to be like terms to multiply. You just add their exponents. So the new function is 4x and 1/3 plus 1/2, which is 5/6. Let's talk about the last one. I'm going to divide. I'm going to write this one out to the side here. I'm going to divide, and then I'm going to have to go back after I divide and see if I need to tweak my domain a little bit. So I'm going to have the first function, which is 4x to the 1/3, divided by the second function, which is x to the 1/2. So now that I've moved an x value to the denominator, I have to look to see if it needs to be tweaked. X to the 1/2 means the square root of x. I don't want what's on the bottom to be 0. And if I put a 0 in for x, the square root of 0 is 0. So 0 doesn't work anymore. So before I had 0 working because it was a bracket. But now that I don't want 0 to work, I need to change it to parentheses. So it's parentheses 0 to infinity. And now I want to simplify this. And I simplify by subtracting 1/3 minus 1/2 is negative 1/6. So the answer would be 4x to the negative 1/6 power.